Wake up.
This is a brand new episode of Wake Up Bright.
Wake up.
With your workout buddies, April and sometimes Jenna. Your hit podcast. Your much needed hit of encouragement, empowerment, and motivation to live and grow each day a little brighter.
Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to Wake Up Bright, our hit podcast. I'm April, and Jenna and I did record a full podcast, but it got off a little silly. So I thought I would come on and start the podcast quickly and just let you know what you're going to hear, which is a lot of laughing at first. We just got tickled and it made me happy to watch it back. I didn't want to cut it out. So I'm leaving it in and maybe you'll get tickled and laugh with us. I hope you do. Welcome to Balanced and Bright, our series, our collaborative this month. And we are so excited. I'm sorry for the delay in this post. We will be posting through the weekend, so Saturday and Sunday. This episode ended up being a little longer than usual, and that created me, I just got behind with editing. So, Jenna and I have recorded every day this week. I'm sorry I've been holding out on you. Hopefully you can forgive me. And moving forward through the 15th of the month, there will be a podcast almost every day. So I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about the Balanced and Bright collaborative. I do feel like it's been helping me build better habits. It's been helping me be kinder to myself when I have shortcomings. And it's helped me eliminate my all or nothing to a degree, because I know I'm going to be talking with you guys every day and moving forward with you as we approach the end of this year while working on our goals, even if imperfect, which we'll talk a lot about perfection over the next couple of days, which is exciting. Let's just dive right in. Let's get into it.
Hey, beautiful people. Maybe you start. I guess we're a little tired, and it's only Tuesday. Oh, hey, beautiful people. I don't think I've had laughing fits like this in a long time. Hey. Sinner. Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm April and
I'm Jenna.
And we're excited to have a podcast episode for you today. I cannot think.
Somehow we are a little tired and it feels like the end of the week already, even though it is not. So
Yeah. Well,
welcome to the craziness.
We're just going to call it Let's Party Tuesday or something.
Did you say Blitz Party Tuesday?
Let's party. What did you say?
Blitz Party Tuesday. I don't know where that came in my mind, but that's what I heard.
Glitching. So today's video, we are talking about guidepost 1. And I was just telling Jenna before we started recording, I don't know where our giggles came from. We were not even being funny immediately before. It was just serious conversation. And then
it took a good while before we could start this thing. Maybe we'll put it in there, or maybe it's in the outtakes. I don't know. Maybe it's somewhere.
Yeah.
We'll find our,
yeah.
I don't know. You can't hear me because I was muted.
Yeah. I don't understand this little whoop-de-woo that I have going on. So we're talking about cultivating authenticity and guidepost 1. What I was telling you before we started recording is that we need to do a guidepost a day. So the guideposts are actually short. So making it through the first sections was kind of like the meat of the book, I guess. Maybe it wasn't the meat, but it was the thicker part. Whereas the guidepost, for today, is only 3 pages. So we're just going to dive right in and do a little reading and a little chatting. So the guidepost is cultivating authenticity, letting go of what people think. I did not know, I'll just preface this. I did not know I needed this to read this as much as I needed to read it. Like it was really good reading it yesterday. So was Guidepost 2. So I read both yesterday. But anyway, Guidepost 1, Cultivating Authenticity. Often people attempt to live their lives backwards. They try to have more things or more money in order to do more of what they want so that they will be happier. The way it actually works is the reverse. You must first be who you really are, then do what you really need to do in order to have what you want. Margaret Young. So she goes on to talk a lot about authenticity, like what she thought it was when she was like, I want to be an authentic person. And like, that's a coveted like personality trait of sorts. But she defines authenticity is a collection of choices that we make. Blah, blah, blah. Authenticity is a collection of choices that we have to make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real, the choice to be honest, the choice to let our true selves be seen. There are people who consciously practice being authentic. There are people who don't. And then there are the rest of us who are authentic on some days and not so authentic on others. Trust me, even though I know plenty about authenticity, it's something I work towards. If I am full of self-doubt or shame, I can sell myself out and be anybody you need me to be. The idea that we can choose authenticity makes most of us feel both hopeful and exhausted. We feel hopeful because being real is something we value. Most of us are drawn to warm, down-to-earth, honest people, and we aspire to be like those in our own lives. We feel exhausted because without even giving it too much thought, most of us know that choosing authenticity in a culture that dictates everything from how much we're supposed to weigh to what our houses are supposed to look like is a huge undertaking. Given the magnitude of the task at hand, be authentic in a culture that wants you to fit in and people please, I decided to use my research to develop a definition of authenticity that I could use as a touchstone. And then she goes on to define it. Before I continue to read, any thoughts, Jenna?
That is an interesting take. I never really thought about being authentic per se, but then I feel like people just discuss how people are fake, that's more out and about. And we've definitely met our fair share of fake people and people who do not practice being authentic very recently too. And my husband's going to tell me I'm a B word. Why am I being this way? Anyhow, yeah, that's an interesting point.
I don't think I've ever heard you say, I'm just going to throw this out there, my husband's going to call me the B word. I mean, I've heard you say your husband's going to call you things. The B word. I feel like that's
because I don't want to say the full word.
Just let
you don't want to censor it here. Yes, I don't know. But he's going to be like, stop being that way. Me.
Sorry, I shouldn't have stopped you and like picked at you a little. But yeah. Yes, Tanner, if you continued your train of thought, he would definitely call you a B word.
Yeah, not in an abusive way. No. Why am I this way? Oh, geez. I also got a random text message, like the most randomest thing. Hi, Jason. This is Mike Stumpf. First of all, no. Sender is not in your contact list. Report junk. I won't feel like I will do that.
I think it's really interesting because, like she says, I never really thought about authenticity as something that you build up to. I guess I kind of, in a large part, I think both of us, like our personalities and who we are, you and I, we've always kind of been ourselves in a extreme, almost defiant way. I'm not saying like, oh, we're so authentic. I'm just saying,
right. But like, I feel like we're just so headed. Right. We're stubborn and hard-headed. So that just like brings out the authenticity quotations out of us, I guess. But I do, when I think about being like a teenager and a little insecure, because I've always been tall. So I've been always Not always, but a lot of times I've gotten comments about why he's so tall. Oh my God, you're so tall. Okay. Never noticed it before. Thanks for telling me. But like all those things affect young people. And I feel like I've had those times when I've been kind of trying to do some self-reflecting on who I am. So maybe that's part of the trying to be authentic.
I was totally along this thought train. And I think people like you and I, and maybe a lot of people, but I am okay pulling against the grain. It is both a blessing and a curse. Like I will go my way. I feel like, you will go your way. Like if there's something that you want to do and nobody else wants to do it, we're going to do what we want to do. 100%. And we're not going to judge other people. We're going to judge other people, but we are going to move forward with whatever crazy idea we've got in our heads.
That's why I was labeled as a bully at one point when we were like 7, when I was like 7, because I told one of the actual bullies that we don't want to play your game. We're going to play this and this game because this is what we decided as a collective group. So they went home and cried that they were being bullied because people didn't want to play whatever game that they had in their head.
Yeah.
So the mom called my mom saying that she is a bully. She is bullying my daughter.
Yeah.
But then that's not how it went. It even went so far that they contacted the school and they were like, that's bullshit. It's not necessarily entirely like related to this topic, but I guess in some way it is.
Well, it would have been very easy for you as a child, as a 7-year-old, to take on that title of like somebody said that you were bullying, but you knew you weren't bullying her. So you stood. And that's
exactly. I was being authentic, I guess, to my true self. And I was like, that's not true. I have definitely not. I did not bully her. I just told her what everybody else was saying, that they don't want to play whatever game it was, that we would rather play this game. And she wasn't having it. She was not told to leave or anything. We just said we don't want to play her game. So yeah. I guess that, but I guess that's like, when I said like meeting people who are fake, I don't think they're necessarily fake, but she is just, her mindset is different.
I don't want to go down this road too far, but I think it's interesting too. And I obviously am not a parent yet, but parents are so quick to swoop in and save their kids based off of a biased perspective of story, when kids usually will sort. Most kids are good. Like I was watching a story earlier, and this girl teaches, I think she teaches like 3rd or 4th grade. She has 9-year-olds, but she's like, I know in today's world, everybody complains about the schools, but I just want you to know, like, little boys are good. Little boys in my class will do anything that I need them to do. All of my students love each other. They play games. They look out for one another. Like kids are good, like for the most part. Sometimes kids have behavioral things that they need to work out. But if you let them as a group, like they'll sort it out. Kids are resilient and capable.
Yes. And unfortunately, the bad habits that kids have are learned from the parents. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's how it is, because nobody's born knowing how to do things or having a certain mindset. It's just what you teach your kids and how you show examples. So
yeah. So what I was getting to with the authenticity thing is we are very much who we are. Like, I don't think that that's really, it's not open really for debate. Like it just is what it is. But when I was reading her story, when she was talking about like working towards being authentic, what really kind of got me and made me like have pause is she shared this story. She's like, I don't remember what she was doing in her house, but she was doing something in her house and her doorbell rang. Her daughter is like 7 years old or something, answers the door. And then her daughter's like timid because she thinks mom's about to freak out because the house is a disaster. And she's like, Mom, so-and-so's here. And she's like, I could tell like my child was like bracing for like some extreme, like, and so she's like, I paused and I was like, you know what? Like, I just need to lean into the fact that my house is messy. That just is what it is. I've got kids. it is what it is. And so she's like, she told them, she's like, okay, let me change and I'll be right down. Tell them I'll be right down. And she's like, my daughter was like, what? Come again? We don't need to run around and clean. Because I would never in not a good way. I'm not saying I would never, but even my husband's like, he doesn't just bring people over without letting me know, because he knows I'm going to be like, okay, you'll have to stand out on the porch for like 10 minutes while I run around the house. Like, totally.
I feel honored that I was able to just walk into your house.
Yes, Yenna has seen the worst of the worst of the worst. No filter. So,
but I think that is a good example, because I'm always thinking of how I feel like I am, and then how some other people may have like a different idea who I am as a person, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And I guess usually it's your spouse or whatever who's like, well, that's not how you are. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And then, like, showing one side to your child and whatever. So
yeah,
it is definitely resonating, and it's interesting. And like, the idea of thriving to be authentic, and like even more.
Yeah. Just
I guess it's to show your stuff to, like, that you don't, I don't know even how to like phrase my words, but that you have just that one thing that is you, rather than having different use for different people on different occasions, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like, there's I don't know. It's kind of like you said, in Finland, it's very customary. And when I was a kid, I feel like this was customary here, like maybe not in the States, but in my house, it was, where we had our play clothes and we had like our going out clothes. Like, so it would be like the equivalent of somebody showing up at the door and being like, oh, I'm going to change my clothes.
Right. You had your nice clothes and your,
the difference there, though, is like, maybe you don't feel shame, but maybe that's just the way that you greet people is within a certain, but she goes on to define authenticity in the way she developed. And she defined authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. Choosing authenticity means cultivating the courage to be imperfect, to set boundaries, and to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. Exercising the compassion that comes from knowing that we are all made of strength and struggle, and nurturing a connection and sense of belonging that can only happen when we believe we are enough. Authenticity demands wholehearted living and loving, even when it's hard, even when we're wrestling with the shame and the fear of not being good enough, and especially when the joy is so intense that we're afraid to let ourselves feel it. Mindfully practicing authenticity during our most soul-searching struggles is how we invite grace, joy, and gratitude into our lives. So I love that.
Me too. That's very, very well written.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to go back to this book a couple of times to actually internalize the stuff that is written there.
Yeah, I agree. She goes on a little bit later in the guidepost to say the thing is, authenticity isn't always the safe option. Sometimes choosing to be real over being liked is all about playing it unsafe. It means stepping out of our comfort zone. And trust me, as someone who has stepped out on many occasions, it's easy to get knocked around when you're wandering through new territory. It's easy to attack and criticize someone while he or she is risking voicing an unpopular opinion or sharing a new creation with the world or trying something new that he or she hasn't quite mastered. Cruelty is cheap, easy, and rampant. It's also chicken shit, especially when you attack and criticize anonymously, like technology allows so many people to do these days. As we struggle to be authentic and brave, it's important to remember that cruelty always hurts, even if the criticisms are untrue. When we go against the grain and put ourselves and our work out in the world, some people will feel threatened and will go after what hurts the most: our appearance, our lovability, and even our parenting. The problem is that when we don't care at all what people think and we're immune to hurt, we're also ineffective at connecting. Courage is telling our story, not being immune to criticism. Staying vulnerable is a risk we have to take if we want to experience connection. If you're like me, practicing authenticity can feel like a daunting choice. There is risk involved in putting your true self out in the world. She goes on, I don't want to read the whole thing, but she goes on to say, if you trade your authenticity for safety, you may experience, I can't talk, the following: anxiety, depression, eating disorders, addiction, rage, blame, resentment, and inexplicable grief. I think it's so interesting, especially coupling that with shame. A lot of times when we don't lean into who we are or what we want or whatever it is, we're not leaning into something that we need or something that we want or something that we want to share. It's because of a fear of shame. And so it makes sense to me that if we swallow down who it is that we are or what it is that we want, and we pretend, like, let's say we take that, 10 minutes to tidy and like make everything sparkle as if that's our real life, like everything's always sparkling. Well, we know it's not. And so that like lessens our reality.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Interesting.
That's an interesting point of view.
Sacrificing who we are for the sake of what other people think just isn't worth it. Yes, there can be authenticity growing pains for the people around us, but in the end, being our true selves is the best gift we can give the people we love. So I love that.
I love it too.
She's got at the end, she's got like a dig deep section. It's kind of like a work, and I don't know, it's like work to do. She says, get deliberate. When I'm faced with a vulnerable situation, I get deliberate with my intentions by repeating this to myself. And I thought this was such a powerful mantra. Don't shrink. Don't puff up. Stand on your sacred ground. I think there's something deeply spiritual at standing your ground. Saying this little mantra to me helps me remember not to get small so that other people are comfortable, and not to throw up my armor as a way to protect myself. And I thought that was great, especially like the first two, the don't shrink and don't puff up, because so often when we're faced with like conflict, it's one of those two. We puff up or we shrink.
Yeah, we either attack or just trying to avoid.
Yeah. So I love
that. That's a good advice. Yeah. Be true, be authentic and explain your yourself, I guess, but don't cower down and don't attack, I guess.
Don't shrink and don't puff up. Like, I think even just stand, like give it a minute. Like we don't have to respond to things immediately. I think that's the other thing that like, culturally, we feel like we have to have an answer now. We have to have like a decision now. We have to do all of these things right now. Everything we need it, and we need it now. There's like that commercial several years ago. It was like I think it was like a check into cash place where they're like, it's my money and I want it now. Have you ever seen those commercials?
Nope.
If you guys have seen it, comment down below. They are so obnoxious. But I feel like that's like our culture now with everything, is that we want it and we want it now, like Veruca Salt in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But we don't have to. We don't have to give into that. We don't have to shrink. We don't have to puff up. And we can take the minute that we need in order to gain our composure and respond, or gain our composure and take the step forward that we want to, whatever it is. I love it. I've never thought about authenticity quite in this way that she does. So Yenna is running to check on Noah really quick, and we're just going to pause. She's back. So any other thoughts about authenticity, Yenna? You're muted. You're still muted. What the heck?
The quick thing with the space bar didn't work for some reason. But I think she has wise words for sure. Oh, no, why didn't it work? Oh. Anywho, I ran up and down the stairs, so I don't know what I was supposed to say.
Just whatever you want about authenticity. I do think it's super interesting.
It is, definitely. And I don't like all these things that she says in the book are things that I kind of have realized, some of them already, but I haven't really thought about them or haven't been able to put them out in precise thoughts or like string of thoughts or words.
Yeah, I love it when people take, it's more like feelings almost, like they're not quite tangible thoughts even, because I haven't given them a voice or words, but it's like things that I've thought and felt. And she's very good at taking those feelings. And I think the reason she's so good at it is she's sharing like through research. So she's studied people. So
yeah, like she has definitely thought about it a lot more than we have, and then is really good with her words and is able to just put it out in like a layman's terms for us to understand what she's trying to say. And
so I think for what we're going to do this week, well, I want to read just a little bit more actually. So on the Get Inspired, so she's got Get Deliberate, Get Inspired, and on Get Inspired, she says a little bit, but then she goes on to say, courage is contagious. You have to be brave with your life so that others can be brave with theirs. I think that that's so cool because it's true whenever, okay, so on the playground or wherever you were, when you were with all those little kids, like you being the one to take the stand and be like, no, bossy, girl, we're not going along with your plan anymore, gave other kids the power to be like, actually, I really don't want to do that either. And I don't like that type of courage is contagious. It just takes like.
Right. And it made sure that they felt comfortable to voice their opinion. So everybody was heard instead of one being just like, everybody needs to do what I say. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not going to be your friend. And since nobody came forward, I guess then the bully in quotation marks gets power and gets a hold of people, and then people do what they say because nobody has the courage to step up or voice their opinion and realize that maybe other people feel the same way as I do.
And it doesn't even have to be like a person. So like I know a lot of people are doing what I'm about to say, but like it's not about them doing it. Okay, so a lot of people, it just, Halloween is gone, and you and I were just talking about this. Everybody's putting up their Christmas stuff. I'm not putting up my Christmas stuff yet. I'm not going to do it. And like something small like that, like everybody gets caught up, whether it's in not doing something or doing something, and you don't have to go with the flow.
Yeah, you don't have to go with the mainstream. That's what I don't know. I feel like there's two like schools now. Either you put it out immediately or you wait till like Thanksgiving or something. I personally will most likely wait till Thanksgiving to put stuff up. But that happened with the Halloween decorations. My neighbors started putting them out. I'm like, I want to put them out too. And I did that. But before that, I was wondering when should I put out my Halloween stuff? I don't really have stuff for fall, like specifically. Sure, I have pumpkins and whatnot, and some of the pumpkins were there the entire Halloween and whatever, and now they're still there. But I took my Halloween stuff down already, and I just changed up I have a fall wreath that I have made that I really like. So I was kind of bummed that Halloween came in so early that I didn't have it on my door. But no, I will have it till Thanksgiving and then Christmas.
I was about to ask if you put it up. When you said you don't have any fall decor, I was like, what about your wreath?
Yeah, I do have my wreath and I really like the way it came out. I really do like it. So that is out. And then I have my pumpkins.
Something you guys don't know about Yenna is like a crafty queen. Like she's very good at making like really beautiful things. So she puts together like wreaths and stuff. Like she's very talented. It's a very pretty wreath.
When I have the time and inspiration.
Yeah. Oh, and I sent you those little ghost things, like the little ghost ropes.
Oh yeah, I did do those.
Yeah, she like crafted. I sent her a picture of something I saw like on Pinterest, and she's like, I accept the picture.
Colors are accepted. But it was all Dollar Tree stuff, which was great.
That stuff. Okay.
Just cut that out.
So get going is the last little thing. So, and I think I'm just going to read this whole section. So I tried to make authenticity my number one goal when I go in. I try to make authenticity my goal when I go into a situation where I'm feeling vulnerable. If authenticity is my goal and I keep it real, I never regret it. I might get my feelings hurt, but I rarely feel shame. When acceptance or approval becomes my goal and it doesn't work out, that can trigger shame for me. I'm not good enough. If the goal is authenticity and they don't like me, I'm okay. If the goal is being liked and they don't like me, I'm in trouble. I get going by making authenticity the priority. How do you dig deep? She asked. So I liked that idea. It's just like I like that so many things can be rectified in a large way just by a shift of perspective or a shift in mindset. So like, instead of, I want to fit in and be liked, thinking I want to be honest. Like my goal is to be honest and authentic and voice my thoughts without pressuring anyone to believe what I believe. Like I want to lean into who I am and not be silenced and not be a wallflower and not feel shame. I just want to be who I am. And if people like me, then great. And if they don't, it's okay. They're just not my people. It's not that they're bad people. They're just
right. And I feel like if you are being authentic, you will attract the people that you need, and the people that don't like you or whatever for any stupid reason, then you don't lose anything by losing them or not being their friend. That's what I've always thought too. Like if somebody doesn't like me, then not my loss. I don't care.
Yeah.
So, and I think there's a saying that has been going around a lot lately. It's say if I'm too much for you, go find less. And I really and I love it.
I like that saying. I like that saying a lot. Go find less.
Right. Like that's true. Like if nobody should have to dim themselves down for other people, you can be authentically you. And if they don't like it, they can go find less.
Yeah. Well, the last thing I want to talk about today, speaking of less, is the little weekly initiatives that we've been doing. I've thought about it a lot, and where I'm at with the scheduling, prioritizing, and like looking at things, I don't want to add anything more. And my thought was, if you've been kind of doing this along with me, you probably don't want to add anything more either, because it's going to be a practice in finding what works. So,
right. So too much can be overwhelming and then just make you stressed out. So,
yeah. So kind of just revising the plan that you have so that it fits better for you and continuing to read. And if you did 3 workouts last week and they were easy peasy, then do more. If it was too much, then maybe look at your schedule and see if there's things that you can adjust. And then as far as making your win the day to-do list, like for me, that was like a game changer all week. I had a really good week last week. And I think just having that daily to-do list of just a few items and not being too vague, or have like not having my to-do list item have like 12 billion subtasks. Like I made like essentially subtask of the task. And that was very helpful for me. So I'd love to know if you did that, how it worked for you, if it was helpful or not, and then continuing forward with working on our habits, cleaning up our diets, and just owning our goals and working for them.
Right on. I don't think I have ever said that before.
I was about to laugh at you. I'm not going to lie. Because what you usually say is, all right, like Matthew McConaughey.
I don't know why I've become Matthew McConaughey in my head, apparently, because I feel like he would say right on.
Yeah, he totally would. It was a very Matthew McConaughey-esque thing.
Why am I
Maybe
embodying Matthew McConaughey? It's not like he's some of my like he's. I'm not saying that he's a bad actor, but he's not like oh my god, I love him or whatever type of thing. So I don't know where
I really like Matthew McConaughey. There was also somebody that I knew one time, and they never said Matthew McConaughey. They always said Matthew McConaughey. And so I do that whenever I say Matthew McConaughey or see him like on YouTube or like on a movie or whatever. That's how I say his name in my head. So it's fun stuff.
I don't even like. It's not like I dislike him or anything. It's just like like the neutral, like, oh, he's a good actor, whatever, but I'm not like fangirling over him. So I don't know where this is coming from.
It's quintessentially American.
Probably that maybe he's the embodiment of American. I don't know.
Yeah.
American man.
I like him. I liked his book a lot. What is your challenge for November?
So I did get my miles in. It was awful, but I did it. So my November, is it November? Yes. I have to do 24 workouts that are at least 15 minutes long. So far, it's day 2 and I have 4 workouts in, 4 walks of 15 minutes. So this is going to be a lot easier task than walking 100 million miles.
Yeah. Your Apple Watch doesn't like you. It didn't like me last month, but this month I just have to work out 19 days. I'm like, That's anticlimactic. Like,
it doesn't say anything. It just says you have to close your moving or your exercising for 19 times or what?
What is it? Okay, November challenge. Close your exercise ring 19 times this month to earn this award. You closed it 1 time so far. So just 19 times.
On the 19th, I would expect you to get your award.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like last month they're like, okay, challenge. I want you to work out like 2,500 minutes or something. And I'm like, because the Apple Watch doesn't register my walks and stuff as working out, like, which is fine. Like, I'm not mad at that at this point. Like I do other stuff. It's fine. But I'm like 80 minutes a day. At one point, that's what I need to get. I was like,
one point, I was so behind. Well, the last 2 days of October, I think Friday night, I was looking at my watch. I'm like, oh crap, I have to do 14 kilometers a day for these last 2 days. But I got it. I did get it. But I did 16 kilometers on Saturday because we did like a long walk, like a hike. So that pretty much filled a bunch of it. And then, walking around, we went to a friend's house for a party and whatnot. So that kind of gave me extra steps that I probably wouldn't usually have. So I only had 10K left on Sunday to do. And I ended up getting a lot more because, trick-or-treating and stuff. So
that's awesome.
I got it. I was stressed. I was so stressed, but I got it.
I'm glad you got it. I'm going to try and let your enthusiasm rub off on me and try to get my monthly challenges. I just don't think about them, but I'm thinking about them now.
Well, I looked at my, the history, and I have every single monthly challenge award since I've gotten my watch. So I'm like, oh, I cannot break the cycle now. I need to get all of them. So
I love it.
That's what it is.
Mine's very random. I've never last month was the first time I intentionally got one. All of the other ones that I have, because I don't even think I realized the monthly challenge things were a thing until at some point you mentioned it. So I don't know. I'm very anti like notifications. So
yeah, I'm just obsessed but doing all the things that my watch tells me to do. in closing the rings. I have been extremely upset about the 2 or 3 days that have not closed all my rings that I've had my watch. It has ruined my streaks and everything. So it's okay.
People, I think we're gonna leave it on our Apple Watch challenge. In the comments down below, I'd love to hear what you think about being authentic, being your authentic self, authenticity. If you read the book, did the book change the way you thought about it at all? If so, how? We want to know. We want to know what you think.
Right. And do you struggle being authentic in some situations? I would love to know that.
Yeah. Well, love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.